What's up, everybody? This is part 2 of a 2-part series, Operators Podcast. We recorded for 2 hours. In part 2, we talk about movies. I think there's probably some more politics stuff in there. And we wrap up what we think is going to happen in Q4. Maybe there's a history lesson that gets thrown in. And as always, it's a fun time to be had by all. A little bit of e-commerce, a little bit of everything else. You got Jason, you got Matt. I'm probably in China right now. That's why we recorded the double podcast. So if you're in China, you can DM me. We can hang out. And I want to give another shout out to Sendlane, the premier SMS and email sponsor that will give you the best prices possible right now if you go to sendlane.com. You got Northbeam, who is your attribution tool and your mixed media modeling. Thank you, Finn, with the assist. And then our premier sponsor for Phil. It is the modern ERP with EDI built in. Financial modeling. You can run accounting through there, whatever else. They're the premier sponsor, a little bit above. Thank you for Phil. Talk to everybody later. Welcome to part 2. Yeah, we should talk about who we think qualifies as the worst VC-backed consumer brand of all time. The reason why I think right now is such a good time to talk about it is
Sean just wants to step on a landmine. He's
I love it.
Like,
we're here for it. Let's go.
I want to kick him.
Smile Direct
Go
Club.
ahead, Sean.
Smile Direct Club is entering bankruptcy, right? So like we've talked about that in chat. They sent a very funny bankruptcy deck around being like a bunch of great companies have gone bankrupt. We're just following in their footsteps. Smile Direct Club, publicly traded, a $1.3 billion in losses, operating history. They do aligners shipped to your door. And they're going bankrupt now. So they're a top contender of worst VC-backed company of all time because they actually went public and are now bankrupt, at least in the consumer space. But you guys got any other ideas?
I don't know about specifics. It does seem like there's going to be a whole bunch of take privates in consumer. Like it's just like when I look at the consumer companies that are public, that are of the recent crop of IPOs, and you look at their numbers, there's an argument to be made that like somebody's going to make a play to buy these things, shrink them, like refine their baseline, rediscover their baseline. Like what's the actual size of this company at profitable size? And then go through that restructuring in private because you can't do it in the public market. So I don't know, man, Sean, I don't follow these brands as closely as you do when they go public. Like you got a weird obsession with reading their filings. But it does feel like that there's going to be a lot of that coming.
So the movie is going to be really about a bunch of these businesses because The Big Short was about like a macro environment. And there isn't one example that's just like such a beast, right? That's just so big that people will focus on just that one. But I do think there's a really interesting mosaic of a movie around this bubble in consumer that happened and the timeline of it, maybe with low CPMs on Meta and then the pandemic and then how just like people are just getting torched left and right now. It certainly should be, there should be a reckoning somehow.
I wonder if there would ever be enough drama to make a movie about it. Cause like, I don't think consumer even enters the conversation like very often. Like if you look at CNBC, it's like they almost never talk about a consumer company. Like unless like Lulu does something, nobody's talking about consumer in public markets. Like not at a like mass market news media level.
Yeah. I think here's the pitch for the movie. I think writers are off strike now. So writers, feel free to take and run this. It's going to be called Vision, a softball story. And it's going to be about SoftBank and then just getting the beat out of them. It's about the Vision Fund. Like that's enough of like a cultural moment to actually do. But you got to think Nike's got one movie about them and like they're worth 187 billion. Like nobody in the global world gives a about Away, or Casper got taken private and no one said the word Casper since, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very important to me, but I do understand that we care about like 1 in 5,000 people might find interesting.
You know that I made a comment on 1 or 2 episodes ago about like being in YPO and how like I just find consumer underrepresented in YPO. And I had a number of other YPOers reach out to me and message me saying, it's funny that you commented on that. I always feel like other YPO members look down at the consumer businesses in YPO. And my initial response was like, do they know that 3/4 of the GDP is driven by consumer spending? Like, I get that SaaS is cool, but like, it's not that big.
Yeah, look, and
like in pure dollars, it's really not.
dude, and VC and SaaS and all that bullshit is so stupid. It's all going to get destroyed by AI. No VC has ever returned meaningful amounts of money for 10 years in a row. I mean, yeah, 4 have done it. There's been 4 funds that have done it, and Sequoia is not one of them. You know what I mean? Like, I just think all that is it's so fake, dude. And the reason why I like consumer is like I get to make people like I can call people and they're happy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's only 5 softwares I like. Okay, Shopify, Ramp, Sendlane, Fulfill, Northbeam. That's it.
Yeah, our sponsors are actually, we like these people. I think that I don't know if I've told you guys this, but like I grew up in a retail family. Like my grandparents owned furniture stores. My mom owned furniture stores, baby stores. Like I've just always been around like the business of stuff. I actually don't know any other industry. Right. So to me, I identify with what you said, Sean, because I think, making things that people really like Jason's always harping on a good product. It's actually a really noble profession, and to like make something better and different and like something that people actually really want and will like to use and tell other people about. It just feels better than like financial engineering or I don't know, making that just doesn't actually like push the world forward. At least it doesn't feel like it's pushing the world forward.
Yeah. On private equity for a second, being like, we got an extra 2% returns by laying people off, and we're doing this thing to cost cut, and we're going to buy a bunch of like commercial real estate buildings and then lease them or whatever, man. Like making something that people enjoy and love every single day. If it's food, if it's a physical good, if it's whatever, that's awesome. Guys, everyone on the podcast uses Northbeam, okay? Like I use Fulfill, I'm trying to invest in Sendlane, and I use Northbeam. I'm the trifecta here. Why do we use Northbeam? Well, we're going to Q4, and if you spend a lot of money on paid media, right? So I'm talking probably multiple millions on Facebook in a month in November, you need a source of truth reporting hourly to accurately pivot budgets and campaign spend. And that one feature alone, my whole paid media team logs into it, my whole creative team logs into it, and they can see which ads are driving sales, creative, whatever, on an independent basis with real-time data, and then pivot budgets accordingly. And in a month like November, you can end up saving 80 grand in an hour or something crazy, right? So it's a great time to use Northbeam going into Q4. It takes a learning curve. You better sign up early because you don't want to be trying to learn how to do it in the Wednesday before Black Friday. It won't be any value to you then. You have to be integrated into the system. You need data. You need to learn how it works. I think they actually have a mastermind coming up next week. And if you're listening to this past next week, whenever that date might be, just find Austin on Twitter, hit him up, and he'll do a one-on-one demo with you to make sure you understand how Northbeam works. So thank you, Northbeam, for being a sponsor. They also have a mixed media modeling tool, which this only applies for the big boys in chat. If you're spending $10 million a month, you need a mixed media modeling tool. And if I'm the first guy to tell you that, how the fuck did you get to $10 million a month and spend? Like, I'm too dumb for you to take advice from me, but that is the next level. Attribution tool first, then mixed media modeling, and Northbeam can carry you through that.
It is totally awesome. And that's why I love sitting here right now, because I grew up in the finance industry, in the software industry, and it's only been a few years that I've been around consumer. And you guys are, 10 years, 15 years ahead of me. And I think that like grizzled veterans compared to me, but it's so incredibly fun. I was just in London because we sponsored Soho House has the Soho Farmhouse Food Festival. Actually, it's in the Cotswolds. Really beautiful place, by the way. Everyone should go check out the Cotswolds, and the Soho Farmhouse is incredible. But like just being at these things and talking to people, and they love the product, whether they're a consumer or a chef. It's like it really is. It's fulfilling, like it's just so fulfilling that you're selling something that people like. Now, like there are a lot of consumer brands that are selling, but like when you're selling something that is adding value, like a Lomi or a Pila case, or has a real value prop, and the Ridge wallet, like it's so much more fun, guys. This is way more fun than being a banker, than being a lawyer, than being a tech C-level exec. I've done all three of those, and this is the most fun I've ever had.
And as the world becomes more digital, we're going to do an actual episode. Let's talk about the Meta event that just happened. I'm super stoked about it. So Meta is releasing, the Quest 3, which is like a $400 AR VR headset coming out. Looks awesome. But they have these Ray-Bans that are coming out that actually have straight up autopilot, like AR built in, that will do live translations and everything. I bought them. I'm so stoked to get them. I think it's so cool. But my point is, Mark Zuckerberg did an interview with Lex Friedman, and he was talking about how the physical world and the digital world are merging to become the real world. He's like, we talk about the real world and we mean the physical world. And he's like, people care more about their online identity and persona than ever before. He's like, the real world is the physical world and the digital world coming together. And that is inevitable. I think we are heading towards a place where people are spending more and more time in the digital world, and the digital world is very important. But that makes your time in the physical world like so precious. And consumer lets you bring clarity and obsession and craftsmanship to the physical world in a way that's so much more meaningful than digital world. So that's why I'm stoked about consumer.
Man, you guys both just like spoke my love language. Like Jason, your comment on like there are consumer brands that make shit. And like, man, if you're listening to this, please don't make crappy products. Like just don't do it. You're bad for the industry. Like I'm just going to say that now. Like you're bad for the rest of us. So like just make good shit or get out, please. Right? Like don't just like knock crap off and make crappy things. Make good things. Like your business will be better and your life will be more fun for it. You just heard from Jason himself. He gets to go do cool things in London at Soho House with supposedly cool people. I shouldn't say that. I used to be a Soho House member. Who the fuck am I bagging on? I think like
actually the cool people are
all
all the chefs, really. Like the chefs are the
that's
most
just
fun.
it.
Like,
They're like
chefs
artists,
are like
right?
rock stars. They're so much fun. I mean, it's incredible. Like it's such an art now.
Yeah.
And it's such incredibly hard work. Talking about like you have it too easy. Get to know a chef. These people work their asses off, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Jason, years ago I met and got to hang out with Shep Gordon, who like literally discovered, I think, Wolfgang Puck, and like realized that chefs are like musicians and rock stars and they should be treated that way. Mm-hmm. And he told us these stories of like, Wolfgang basically cooking for free as like a way to promote himself. But it is like, I think what you're hitting on, and that both of you are hitting on this. And I think that like for the people who listen to this pod who are in consumer, it is an art form. Like when you make great product, it is actual art. And it can feel really great to make something that people fucking love and that want to like tell and share with their friends. And it does become shit that people collect. And I think that that's the goal, right? Like these, like you guys see this right here behind me. Okay. These are Patrick Ewing shoes. They're the ugliest fucking shoes ever designed. They're gross. But years ago, I met the guy who was like bringing them back. They'd been off market forever. He was bringing them back. I knew his wife, and his wife like, do you want one of the first pairs? I'm like, hell yeah, I do. Like, that's a cool ass story. And I hung on to them, and my wife found them this weekend, and she's like, why don't you have that crap out? I'm like, I forgot. but like it's a cool ass story. And those have never been worn. Those are like first freaking, I mean, some sneakerhead out there is probably like, oh my God, I'll buy. I don't like, no, they're not for sale. But I think like things matter in our culture. I don't think they matter to the level that food does yet, Jason, but I'm going to call it like, I think that they will. I think eventually
Matt, you mentioned, I agree with you. You mentioned Wolfgang Puck, right?
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
You see that?
That's awesome.
Wolfgang made a cake for Danny when he was in London. Ridiculous.
That's so freaking cool. And that's the power of a great product, man. Like, not only do you get to build a cool ass business, you get to meet some like really great people. And there is a great community globally around people who actually do cherish and build the thing, like make great things. Like they care about it. You see it on Twitter too. Like you can tell the difference between some dipshit who's private labeling something and somebody who genuinely cares about the product and the customer they're serving.
Yeah. I just want to go back to how hard shit is. If you ever think you work hard, go try to be a line cook. Nobody works harder in America than line cooks, dude. Hardest fucking job.
Rub some dirt in it.
Yeah, dude. Like Starbucks barista, Postmate driver, line cook. Those are, I think, of the 3 hardest jobs you could possibly do. Maybe brain surgeons up there, maybe fucking rocket engineer, bomb explosion, whatever. All of them are harder than tippy type on computer, which is what I do for a living.
It's hard to argue with that. Q4 coming up. So Sean, is your take that you think Q4 is going to be super strong? Are you going on record to say that?
Yeah, in part 1 of the episode, we asked Jason how his Q3 was going to be, or how was it, and then we didn't answer for Matt or myself. But
no, it's Q3 for Lomi was flat, but we pulled spend back a lot year over year, so it was actually good. And then Pila Case Q3 was really much stronger than I thought it would be. And that gives me I'm pretty bullish going into Q4. Although the last 2 weeks in D2C land, in all of the groups that we're in, there's a lot of carnage. So
going back to Q4, David Herman put out a tweet.
It was so good.
Really, right? About this is the easy part.
Keep it simple, man.
Keep it simple. I think the hard part is all the planning that you've done in terms of the ugly operational stuff, the purchasing that you needed to do. They talk about the Sunday scaries. You know what I have? The October scaries, because we've been buying so much shit, and it's our lowest cash time of the year. And it's just hold on. Hold on.
It's the Braveheart thing. Yeah.
Fast. I'm just hold the line. Like Gladiator, hold the line. And it's crazy. It's a crazy, crazy time.
What do you guys spend your time on right now? Getting ready for Q4. So in each of your roles, Sean, what does your week look like every week in October? Where do most of your reps go?
The word that comes to mind is just thought leadership. And that's really what you want. It's not just about software. It's about the people designing and building that software and advising you on how to use that software to get the most out of your business. And the Sendlane team is obviously thought leaders in the messaging space. Jimmy regularly is posting on Twitter and giving insights of how you can be more effective at communicating with your customers on own messaging. And listen, we all know CPMs are only going up. If there's a core competency you have to develop, you have to get great at messaging, and Sendlane is an excellent option. We loved being there for a live operators pod. Hope everybody enjoyed listening to it, and we're thankful to have Sendlane as one of our sponsors.
I've tried to invest in Sendlane. I've tried to speak about putting your money where your mouth is. Jimmy will not let me on the cap table. I don't know why, but it's a product I believe in so much in this market that I am trying to put my own money into it. So Jimmy, this is a call for help. Let me invest in your software, dude. It's really good. I have a very boring answer. I don't do a lot for Q4 prep anymore. This week I do the Q3 report. I have a Q4 goals that I set for every executive or leader in the company. So I sit down with them one-on-one, go through their goals. Then I share all of the goals to every leader on a call. We did that yesterday. So Q3 reporting done, leadership goals done. Then I'm just setting up. I mean, I make sure we have enough money in the bank. That's like honestly what my job is. Like working with finance to make sure that everybody gets paid at an appropriate time, but we keep enough of a cushion to make me feel comfortable. And I'm just there for moral support and guidance. Like I'm not touching ads. I'm not shooting creative. I'll help my wife shoot creative for us, but I'm all I'm thinking about is 2024. Like at this point, if I'm getting involved, I've probably fucked something up. Right.
So no, but you have October scaries too, though, because you're worried. You're talking finance, right? Talking about how to finance all this, or not? It's no big deal. You guys are good.
Well, the big thing for us is we have a $4 million line of credit that we don't use, so there's nothing borrowed against it, and I don't want to borrow against it. So it's just like let's just keep balance sheet as positive as possible, enough cash in the bank, paying down liabilities as they come in. But we deferred 2022 taxes until this month. Like I don't know if you guys did that, but there was something where like there was rainstorms in California, so you didn't have to file your federal taxes. So like I'm doing that this week. Is like I taking all of our money out of treasuries, putting it into our account, like figuring out how much money we have to pay in taxes and shit. So that's what I mean by like making sure we have enough money. It's like we're going to pay multiple millions of dollars to a bunch of different governments, and I got to make sure that happens.
What about your production, Sean? I've talked a lot about how we've had to really front end load production just to make sure that we had what we need, because the factory just can't go from 60 containers a month to 400, which would be nice if we could just buy that in like September and October, but we started buying in June. Well, how does that work for you guys?
So we always keep, it's probably a forward 6 months of inventory on hand. And as you scale up, that number has to grow. So we're keeping north of $100 million retail value on hand at any given point, right? And it's actually not that hard for us to ramp up. We have 3 main wallet suppliers, 2 main ring suppliers. So like if we need to, we can pull things in. The real challenge is if we have a bigger than expected Q4 and then our December order needs to rush before Chinese New Year to set us up for Q1 and Q2. Because like if you're still continuing to grow on that, like that's where we found ourselves in 2021. Ended up having like a massive Q4 and needed to just rush a bunch of shit. But I think we've gotten way better at that. We just keep way more inventory on hand. That's the solution with the non-seasonal product.
It's incredible that you don't have to that you haven't had to tap that line. I don't know how that math works, man, because it's not like you're not growing. You're still growing double digits plus multiples of double digits. Like, how do you not have to tap into that line at this time of year?
Yeah, we have a core executive team. So me, Connor, and 3 other guys own basically the whole company, and everyone is incredibly frugal. Connor is one of the most frugal people on earth, and I tell him this all the time.
He dresses like a homeless guy.
Dude, I could be making this up, but I'm pretty sure he told me that he got a free pair of shoes from the gym Lost and Found. I could be making that up. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure like he's that type of guy.
That is amazing.
So everyone's okay with a low distribution total. So more and more money gets put into working capital for the business. I am ruthless when it comes to supplier terms. And what I'll do is I'll just be like, you've already shipped the stuff, so I'll pay you when I pay you. And we're the biggest game in town, so we can do stuff like that. So yeah, but we're very luckily have never had to tap into lines of credit. My goal going into 2024 is to have access to $20 million worth of credit in case I want to do something, but I don't know what I would do with it.
That's
need a
pretty
dividend
wild, man.
recap.
Yeah, we've talked about doing a dividend recap. I mean, it obviously makes way more sense when rates were 3% and not 12%, which is what Chase would probably end up giving me right now. And for everyone listening, a dividend recap is when a company is profitable enough, they can get a large loan without a personal guarantee from a financial institution. Typically, it wouldn't be a big four bank. It'd be a smaller regional bank, and they will give you some turns of EBITDA, 1 to 3 turns of EBITDA, and you actually take that money out as a dividend to shareholders. So the company holds the debt, you take money into your pocket.
You'd probably be at 7.5.
Yeah, I think that's what our $4 million line of credit is. It's unsecured, just a floating line of credit with Chase. But when you start getting to like 1 or 2 turns of EBITDA, I just don't know what the market is for that right now. Jason, you might know better.
Yeah, I would say it's about the same as the line. Maybe like another 50 bips, but same.
Speaking of liquidity, what are you guys thinking? The rumor is that Viore is looking at an IPO. Any takes? Any hot takes, Sean?
Well, I know that they're looking at an IPO. It's been about a year, and I've talked to some team members over there. They're trying to get to $1 billion in 2023 revenue to IPO off of. That's what they're working on right now.
That's a big number. That's meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, so they're partially owned by SoftBank, and SoftBank is trying to get as many IPOs as possible in the next like 6 to 12 months, so they can double down on bets that they've seen work. Right, like SoftBank is in talks to do a OpenAI phone or whatever else, and they want to return some stuff to shareholders and fix their reputation. So yeah, I think they're going to aggressively pursue an IPO. Birkenstock's happening for an IPO. Consumer could be in a really good financial liquidity place in the next 6 to 12 months.
I don't know if you guys agree with this, but I think we got really great sponsors.
Absolutely.
Before we did this episode, we were actually on with Sharoon from Fulfill, and because we got to learn. It's not genuine for us to have sponsors if we don't know anything about them, because it's hard to recommend. Like, you're listening to this show, you want to know that who we are recommending, we actually believe in. And I'm actually excited to do an episode with this guy because he's like, he clearly knows it. But look, Fulfill, I'm stoked to have them as a sponsor, simply because what he said to me before the episode really hit home. When I asked him, like, what is the sweet spot for somebody to work with you? Right? Like, when is a brand a good client for Fulfill? And he immediately jumped into the complexity of a business. And I know that all of us as hosts on the show, we admire this, and we really appreciate it, because like every single brand, we talk about it all the time. We talked about this episode, like there's so many ways to grow a brand. And that usually comes with some amount of complexity at some size. And size isn't the determinator for working with a Fulfill. And I really appreciated that perspective that he had. And we're gonna talk personalization. You can talk about order volumes. Like, Fulfill is purpose built for D2C. After talking to him, I really get that now. So I have no problem recommending him.
Matt, a really interesting thing is he immediately said who shouldn't work for him. I think we should he's like, if you're a mattress company doing $10 million a year off of one website, he's like, I don't use Fulfill. He's like, you have one
can't
warehouse.
add value to your life. Which, like, how nice is that to hear, right? As an operator, like, this is what I like about I just become super fans of companies who can stand there and tell you who they are not for, just as well as they can tell you who they are for. And I don't know. I like Fulfill.
I think their ownership structure matters
right now.
They have basically bootstrapped. I think they took some money at the very, very beginning, but they haven't taken all the Series A, Series B, Series C, and that allows them to grow the company at the rate that they think makes sense, where they're really able to serve customers. They don't have to hit some kind of benchmark that a VC's hitting, saying they've got to hit. And I think that makes a really tangible difference. It's easy to underestimate what a superpower that is, having a really good cap table and having a leadership team that's really devoted to serving customers more than hitting some kind of arbitrary goal.
It's fascinating to see, like, when certain brands take off, and you just mentioned Birkenstock, like that's one of the more recent ones. I forget the other one that I was just thinking of the other day, but like it's just so it's I don't know, it's not random necessarily, but Birkenstock has been around forever, right?
Dude,
And
you know
like
what shit I caught 8 years ago for wearing Birkenstocks and being called like a dirty hippie? And all of a sudden
well,
it's like, oh, they're a luxury brand. I'm like,
you
what the
shouldn't
fuck?
you shouldn't wear Birkenstocks because men's feet should only be exposed in public around bodies of water, including swimming pools. But
No, but I'm a dirty hippie.
I know Sean doesn't ascribe to that. I could never work in his office.
Yeah, I don't wear shoes. I think shoes are stupid. But yeah, no, the Birkenstock turnaround story. I mean, they've always been a great brand, but getting LVMH involved. I mean, I bring up Birkenstocks like I bring up Patagonia. Like that, this is American heritage brands that should be worth a lot of money in the future. I want to talk about this. Someone I know who's very familiar says Alo is raising at a $15 billion valuation, and I said bullshit. It has to be 1.5 billion, and he's like, dude. It's 15 billion. I've seen the deck. I don't
Are
know
they
what
that
to tell.
big?
No, I think they're also approaching $1 billion in revenue. So that's why
Alo's
I'm
big.
like,
I mean, I think Alo is bigger than Viore. They have the female market. They have stores. I mean, they've got stores in the Design District in Miami. Like
They're
the
everywhere. Yeah.
Kardashians posted all kinds of stuff. Where in the Alo's huge.
yeah. So but Lululemon's worth 45 billion. So if Alo's worth a third of Lululemon in this market, like on a non-public thing, like I would just be so fucking blown away. $15 billion is so much money. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right, Jason. Like maybe it is. I haven't seen the deck. I haven't signed an NDA. No one's got me the fucking deck. But if you listen to this podcast and you know the details of that fundraising round, I would love to hear it. I heard it's 15 billion. I can't wrap my fucking mind around that.
I mean, they're both Viore and Alo are like, for all intent. I mean, from a brand perspective, I don't know the numbers, but they are good brands. Like they have like quite the following, both of them. Everybody I know that's got Viore stuff raves about it. I don't know anybody that's Alo stuff. They're not as big up here, but man,
my wife
people
has a
love
ton
Viore.
of Alo. My wife has a ton of Alo clothes, and they really make good stuff. I like Viore too. I wear some Viore. I really like it. But yeah, Alo is the true competitor to Lululemon now. On the female side, Viore was started to be the male version of Lululemon and then moved into female. If I got that right, Sean, I don't know, you might know more about this than me, but that's Alo is like the real contender to Lulu from a female athleisure and fashion.
No, yeah, Jason, you have that history right. The only thing I'll say is that Alo, I've heard, hasn't raised any money up to this date. They've been privately held and financed by a family that started it, that it's like a manufacturing family in LA. And like, they've been doing it for a really long time. They've really struck something. And like, they've definitely replaced Lulu as like the that girl aesthetic, like wearing Alo, fucking hitting Pilates, like, running around the lake. Like they've really made good strides there. I don't know, man. I was just blown away when I heard that. I mean, I have heard that the deal's having a very hard time getting done and that there's no bidders. It's 500 million secondaries. I've heard it's $1 billion being raised at a 15 billion valuation. So 500 million secondaries, 500 million cash infusion.
That's a lot.
There's nobody trying to write that check right now, but I hope it gets done. I hope these numbers are correct. And it'd be great for consumer if it happens.
No kidding. Yeah, man. Any other topics we want to cover today, boys? We've been going for a couple hours here. There's a lot of meat on these two.
Yeah, I hope it ends up coming out good in the wash. I'll just say Q3, to give you our perspective, we do a giveaway in Q3 that we use to generate a lot of awareness and demand. We collect millions of SMS and millions of emails. Like, it's like we try to make like a little moment for ourselves out of it. So we had a great Q3. This is the best giveaway we've ever done. Like, I think we really perfected how to do it. We did product releases during it, silicone rings and watches, and both of them crushed out of the gate. So I feel like I'm in a bad place to judge where consumer is, but I've heard from at this point 20 brands that it's probably 20 to 4, where 20 brands have said that September was harder than August and September got harder the longer it went on. 4 brands said, nah, it's been totally great. So take that for what it is, right? Like it's so hard to sample this industry because of how dynamic it is. But a lot of people had a hard time in September. And October's always kind of soft. It's like, we try to run October like a 2x MER, like break even, or if we lose money, it's the only month we're allowed to lose money.
You're just pre-building demand for November and December.
I think it's very hard to change consumer spending habits. So even if the consumer's in a worse spot, Q4 ends up being pretty big just because it has been the past couple of years. Very hard to take that medicine.
Dude, for the 16 years I've been in e-commerce, I was telling my team today, 16 years I've been doing this in some form or another. I think I can remember one bad Q4, and I believe it might have been the Great Recession. And I think maybe we were flat at that time across our, like what we could see. So like, and I've heard many doomsayers over the years be like, no, this Q4 is going to be terrible. And I'm like, I don't know, man. The American consumer loves to buy shit in November and December.
Dude, the other thing is, maybe I'm just more aware of stuff the older I get. Like I end up having more, unique perspectives or different experiences, right? That change my outlook. I just feel like everything is so much bigger of an event now. Like I've never watched sports, but all I fucking hear about is the NFL now, right? Like, and Halloween is taking over 6 goddamn weeks of my life now. And like, as soon as Halloween's over, I just know it's going to be the biggest in your face Christmas explosion that we've ever seen. And has it always been like this? And I was just fucking not paying attention, or like, does shit just feel like everyone cares more? Like what's going on?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm with you though. It does feel like that. I have no explanation. I'm confused, but I'm also old.
Yeah.
I think everything is blown out of proportion by social media, period. Everywhere.
Like the whole Taylor Swift thing and the football player. I'm like, my God, I can't get away from this right now. I need to mute Taylor Swift on all of my social. And I'm like, I just want to email Zuck and be like, I'm a 42-year-old male. I don't give a fuck about who Taylor Swift is dating. Why is every algorithm just is hammering me?
It's the virality of everything in life via social media. Everything that touches us is just the virality of it, because everything travels in a millisecond.
Yeah, so because of that, like I just think like the Christmasification of the world is just going to get bigger and bigger, and like Q4 is going to be more and more of a spectacle every year, and like there's a Halloween economy forming around giant skeletons. Like I know it's a couple years old, but like so much more money is going into these periods than I think has ever gone before. And maybe it's just people.
Dude, it's wild. Yeah, even over the last 20 years, guys, like watching the Q4 shopping season actually just shrink, right? So it didn't change in like total dollar volume, but like the consumer behavior just like it compressed and compressed over the last 20 years. You used to get a lot. October used to not be a terrible month. That like 20 years ago in retail, like it really wasn't a bad month. And it's just like now it's basically like Black Friday to Christmas. You got 30 days, go.
Dude, so true. I remember working retail when I was 16 years old. I made $8 an hour folding sweaters, trying to make enough money to move out. And like in September, you would get holiday sweaters, and it's like, so people could buy them and wrap them as gifts for the people. Like they would shop 3 or 4 months early. And now with 2-day shipping, people are like, I'm going to buy shit the day of Christmas.
Especially dudes, we're the worst. We are the worst. It's like if you sell to men, man, it's like December 17th, whatever your shipping cutoff day is when those guys are buying.
Dude, so true.
All right, boys.
It's
been a good one.
All right, guys, that was part 2 of the 2-part series we did. I'm currently in China hanging out. The guys recorded a podcast without me. That's coming out next week. Hope you enjoyed it. And like I said in the previous one, this was us trying something new. A little bit of spitball, a little bit of just chopping it up, trying to show you how divergent our thoughts are from each other. We're 3 successful e-com guys, but we have some stuff in common, some stuff we don't, and we're just here talking about it. If you hated it, go ahead and blame Matt. So you can just, DM Matt. You can tweet at Matt. It's his fault. If you loved it, join the Slack group. Tell us you loved it. Thank you so much for being here.